sponsors don't ask for these things everywhere. You probably maybe have identified that some of these things are happening some places, but not everywhere. And saying, well, how can we reduce this force and leverage the strength here?
Benefits, I was able to assess myself and my company and really realize we have a very weak project management organization in my company. Stakeholder management techniques. I mean, who doesn't have project stakeholder problems, right? I mean, we got stakeholders that micromanage, stakeholders that you can't get a hold of for months, and you need decisions made. I learned techniques on how to control them, how to control the communication, how to grab their attention.
You can invest in a more tenacious, vivacious, passionate pursuit of excellence with our team.
Exercise of looking at how the differences, good and bad, of project management experiences in our organizations. Green are the things that we say are good, and red are the things that we say are bad. Anytime we have turnover, it causes some disruption. But if we can keep the same people on a project, so having the dedication from our management to allow the project team to remain dedicated to that throughout the project is beneficial, which includes having a dedicated project manager.
You know, stress, that can be something that can take you from good to bad. You know, that can be something that, you know, you have a pretty well-functioning organization, but as your people are getting pulled in a million different directions, they start getting stressed and pulled too thin, and then that can just start pulling down everybody's productivity and the end result of your project. Culture, we have a lot of these that kind of go both ways. You know, depending on what the culture is or what the project management philosophy at your company is, and how they're going to view this issue, how they're going to protect you from getting stretched too thin, it can either be a good thing or a bad thing. Yeah, varying agendas, that was one, you know, of different sponsors. Again, if there's no overall champion or overall like taskmaster that can say, well, this person has to focus on this priority, you're going to have multiple people that are going to pull your team or pull all the resources into different, you know, different directions.
The point was complete upper management support. That's what we identified as one of the problems of tackling. And we feel that the management team doesn't really understand the value of the project management role and the methodologies that can be used, and that they should be embraced as a way to improve project success. Under restraining forces that don't allow us, that are holding us back from getting more support, lack of physical presence. We have 4 decision makers, and most of them are always on the road, they're out, so trying to get those 4 decision makers in a room to really discuss a project is difficult. So sometimes we don't have their presence, and if you don't have that face-to-face, you're not really going to get the buy-in, you're not going to get the support because they're kind of doing it on a satellite basis. Project interference, we do get some of that where, you know, we have one of the decision makers that may want to change things around and they do that kind of in a vacuum.
Lack of management support. Again, that's something that is dragging us down from moving in a positive direction, and that some goes back to not having a good organizational project management awareness.
Upper management support, that's obviously important because you need resources, and if the resources aren't doing what they need to do, then go there from their manager and kind of press it down a little bit. Visibility on all levels, and that's important, obviously, for the project. And you know, when you have visibility all the way up, it gets a sense of importance of the project. So it's important. We also have recognition rewards for task completions. You know, it makes you feel like you're part of the team when you get rewarded and recognized. Everybody likes recognition. You know, there's people like certain types of recognition, whether it's just an email or publicly. Everybody's different, but you know, it goes a long way to getting food. Right?
a common issue that we're facing is the status is the organization doesn't really support positive behavior from a project perspective. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly go down the positive driving forces. Right? Whenever you complete a project, you should be happy about it. That's one of the driving forces on the positive side. Personal and public recognition. Sometimes people like the parties, they like the elation. Some people like the going into the office, patting on your back from a manager or VP saying, hey, good job. The other one is camaraderie. A lot of times positive reinforcement of projects come because the team just naturally works together and they sort of build on that further. The other one is, we didn't really intend to make the line or the arrow that long. Financial incentive is important, but it really isn't one of the major driving forces. But it's there. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to get a paycheck, you want to get rewarded properly, and that's part of the positive driving forces. And the other one is promotions. If you do a good job, you want to see a track to success, right? And that's how the organization should drive that in a positive way. Give you an ample opportunity to become a manager, a VP, a CEO, CIO, and whatnot.
And some of the restraining forces, sometimes it's a lack of money or a lack of resources. Sometimes they can't afford. There's nothing there to really support these behaviors, or there's not enough time, or not enough resources to maybe organize these parties or whatnot. Sometimes it's because of the organizational silos. Maybe because of where you're at in the organization, you're just not recognized. You're not visible. Sometimes it's the nature of the industry. Maybe that industry just doesn't, it's expected. You're not rewarded for these positive behaviors. Lack of management support. Maybe it's, upper management or your management, it's never been done that way, so the management just doesn't support it. They expect you to just keep rolling on. Sometimes it's favoritism. Some people in the group just, they're the ones that are always rewarded regardless of how much they, gave to the project. And then that ties in with the unequal rewarding. Maybe it's the department, maybe it's a certain person. It's just, that's a restraining force that we see sometimes. Yeah.